Brooke Rollins is the Ag Secretary who's having to try and answer questions as to why Donald Trump is destroying the economy and somehow trying to tell us that everything is great. But what she now has to focus in on is the situation that these farmers are now in based off of Donald Trump's policies.
Remember, I said to the farmers, buy larger tractors and more land, and that's exactly what happened. They did well. But we do suffer. I'd like you to discuss that maybe for a second, Brooke.
Sure.
Very quickly, by the way.
Yes, sir.
But would you just talk about how Biden let us down? Biden, every single thing, every problem the farmer has is because Biden didn't do anything for 4 years. Go ahead.
This president has been unequivocal in his support of the farmers. First of all, in term one, we worked on it so hard and opened up markets, but especially this term. But here's what everyone has to understand. The farm economy is in a very uncertain time. But that isn't because of the current trade negotiations, although certainly the China part is part of that. But we inherited a slew of issues.
Brooke Rollins was literally directed by Donald Trump to give the case for why it's still Joe Biden's fault that Donald Trump's tariff and trade war policies are screwing over farmers. That's what her job is. Her job is not to be the ag secretary. Her job is not to find the solutions to these problems. Her job is to continue to run cover for his failures. That's been the story of this guy's entire life. He's a failure. And now Brooke Rollins is the latest one to try and clean up his dirty diapers.
I want us to take a moment and realize I don't know that there's ever been a president in history, at least in modern history, that has spent so much time talking about our farmers, talking about soybeans. Yesterday we had a big meeting in the Roosevelt Room about our beef industry. I mean, it is just incredible how focused and just supportive of our farmers and ranchers this president is. They just want to sell their product. They don't want checks from the government. But until we get there, all these new trade deals, opening up the markets by the president, onshoring our food supply for health reasons, but national security reasons, we will get there. But until then, we will continue. We're going to be announcing a program as soon as the shutdown ends on what we're going to do in the short term for these row croppers, including our soybean farmers.
Incredible what tariff revenue is doing, not just on the world stage when it comes to peace, but also there to fund programs that we might be losing amidst the government shutdown.
There was so much bullshit there. Brooke Rollins wants to tell the American people, and specifically farmers, that no other president has paid this much attention to farmers before, as he is destroying their lives. They really want you to stop believing that for all these months, as we've been talking about his policies and how to destroy small businesses, destroy farming businesses, now no other president pays as much attention to farmers and believes in them as much as this president. He's always on their side because of a bailout proposal now. And the bailout is coming because his policies screwed them up. Brooke Rollins wants to talk about a bailout that's now on the horizon. But somehow at the same time, it's a golden era for everybody. I never know how this works.
We are moving into an era of rural prosperity, of a golden age for our farmers in rural America. The trade renegotiations and the trade realignment that Jameson and Scott and Howard have led with the president's leadership is unlike anything that's happened in the history of our country. And those that will benefit the most are the original Americans, our farmers and our ranchers. The president has committed, if we need a bridge, he has talked about that to get us from the Biden years to the new Trump era. That's what we're working on every day. We've got to get the government reopened so that we can move forward on that. And once we do, we'll be able to move out a significant program to help our farmers. Long term, we have to change this hamster wheel of government. We've got to ensure that the farmers have the market to sell, and it's a national security issue and onshoring a lot of the food as well. So, sir, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I think that's enough.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Thank you, guys.
The country is doing very well. Thank you very much, everybody.
Brooke Rollins just said they need a bailout for farmers due to his tariff policies, but he wraps it up by saying the country's doing well. We just need that bridge between Biden and then now Trump after damn near the back end of this year. How long is this bridge going to get built? I mean, because I heard from Howard Nuttlick that it's going to be 6 more months from now. I'm sorry, a year from now. Oh, kicking at the beginning of next year. No one knows. And what proof, what kind of evidence, What kind of policy approach? What kind of even conversation does Brooke Rollins said that she's had to give her the confidence to believe that we're headed to this golden age where we need these new opportunities in exports for farmers? New opportunities in exports for farmers? They just cut off one of the biggest ones for soybean farmers. Where else is it going? But speaking of exports and the golden age,
Export. I mean, look, we have the ultimate export. We have import, and we have export.
We are just broadly in the most beautiful place for the American people we've been, I think, ever with respect to trade.
the president of the United States said we have the best kind of export ever, and it's import and export. Does that sound like somebody who knows what they're doing? Does that sound like somebody you should trust? Here's an Iowa farmer. Speaking of bailouts and new avenues to sell some crops, he was asked about how happy they are to be receiving any bailout money.
There are reports that a Trump administration bailout of farmers, and apparently it's going to be mostly these soybean producers, but this is in the works and it could be around $10 to $14 billion in aid. Do you think that's enough? And does that address the underlying issue here?
Well, it certainly won't make farmers whole, right? It will help when you're, it is a bandage on a bad wound, but it certainly doesn't fix the problem. It doesn't address the wound. But we do want to help farmers who are in this situation through no fault of their own. But there are long-term impacts that are very, very dangerous. We also know that when aid packages were rolled out 5 years ago, many farmers who were in need at that time didn't receive any of the aid package. And some of the largest multinational corporations in the world received the largest payments. And that doesn't make sense, and it only causes more divisions between our farming operations. Our small and medium-sized operations are in need of that assistance, and getting it to the right place so it can have the right impact on the farm and in our fields is extremely important.
They're proposing $10 to $14 billion of this bailout to certain farmers. He even pointed out how it doesn't fix the problem because they've screwed up their operations, their ability to do business. None of it changes. It's window dressing. And $10 to $14 billion, where's that coming from? Where is it coming from? It's coming from the same people who pay taxes, who also have higher prices because of these tariff policies, that he's siphoning more money from us to give to these folks to act like they've done anything. And if you believe this Iowa farmer, he pointed out that that last farming bailout aid money came during Trump's first term. It's odd how he keeps having to bail out the people that they keep saying he does the most for. But the last time that happened, he said it didn't even go to the people who need it the most, the small to mid-sized farms. It went to corporations, large corporate farmers. Everything they do takes more money from us and gives it to their corporate buddies. In whatever kind of window dressing they want to do it as, it gives it right back to them. Which leads me to this. You guys remember? Remember a week or two ago? We're bailing out Argentina to the tune of $20 billion because that new president that they propped up there, Javier Milei, how he's screwed things up and he's running their country just like Elon Musk and Donald Trump started with running this country, and how they've destroyed the economy. So they're out to save his ass, but it's not just because of him. They're out to save all of them and Scott Bessent's buddies that invested in that country to destroy it. And now that it's been destroyed, you got to save it with whose money?
The U.S. bailout of Argentina has been finalized. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced today that the United States directly purchased Argentine pesos as part of a $20 billion currency swap. But he insists the deal is not a bailout. So let's make something clear. Downplaying it as merely a swap agreement, exchanging pesos for dollars to stabilize their economy, well, at the very least, that is not the full picture. Now, we might not be writing a direct $20 billion check to Argentina, but we are still taking enormous risk to help out a friend of the president who's up for re-election in a country that is in trouble. That's this guy right there on your screen, handing Elon Musk a bedazzled chainsaw. And Argentina is not a top trading partner for us. What is this? It is a massive loan. And if Argentina does default, and they may, it is a $20 billion loss for us. The Fed will be left holding a ginormous bag of pesos worth nothing. So you could call it a hidden bailout or a direct bailout. This is a huge win for Argentina, its president, and the group of U.S. investors Secretary Bessent knows very well who bet big on Argentina.
And as I pointed out before, one of those buddies of Scott Bessent is another hedge fund guy. They came up together, and he's bailing his ass out. I remember when Biden was in office, and they were talking about student loan forgiveness, and conservatives were pulling their damn hair out for American students, former students. And now that we're giving $20 billion to bail out this guy, because Scott Bessent and other billionaire, rich, connected people need it because they suck at what they do. There's no questions. Where are the angry folks in the streets talking about how we can't afford to give other people money? We can't afford to do it. We have our own problems here at home. The problems they care about are saving their own asses from all the mistakes they make because they're wild with the things they do. When there's no accountability and there's zero consequence for your entire life, you end up being a Scott Bessent, you end up being a Donald Trump, you end up being a Howard Lutnick. They all suck at what they do, but there's no consequences. They just take more money from us to bail themselves out, even internationally. So you know what Javier Milei has been doing ever since he got his $20 billion? I had to double check this because I didn't think this was real. I'm not lying to you. This is him on stage at his political party's party. What the fuck was that? Javier Milei is having a party, bro. I mean, you would too. If somebody handed me $20 billion for fucking up and failing, man, I would have a party too. I'd be like, man, I'm above everything, man. I sucked. The political opposition in my country is coming after me. It's pretty obvious I suck. Yet the United States bailed my ass out, and they're going to continue to assist me because I've gotten in bed with them and allowed them to take over and do whatever they want in this country. Let's have a party where I growl and roar into a microphone. I'm not like I said, I had to look that up. I was like, there's no way this is real. There's no way the guy who siphoned $20 million out of our pockets to then try and save him and his political career, and then right after that, promised those same one of the exports of all these soybeans that Donald Trump cut off of farmers here to China, how they swapped and made a deal with China to sell their soybeans to them instead. He kicked Donald Trump's ass twice. But, you know, nobody sees that as a failure. They see that as helping out more billionaires that are in desperate need